Okay, so I managed to find chicken for the boys. Yeah, let's go feed them. And while we're doing that, I'm going to just quickly close the door on the noisy dogs. Yeah, I managed to get it right. Let's just check. We're busy making power over here. Battery will start charging now. We're just using about 20 amps. That's 20 bundles of 48 volts. But that's good. Cats over here. Look at them, guys. They love the chicken. This chicken is so fresh. So I'm going to try and shift over to only this chicken, because this cat food is expensive. It is just that's not so expensive, but cat food is expensive. There's nothing that you can do about it. Enzo, Diego. Oh, there's Diego. So I'm really concentrating on those kinds of things now. I'm trying to cut not only things in half maybe, but cut it completely. Diego, they are tiny, but they're good. Where's Enzo? Enzo? There you go, Diego. Dainty. See, I should have gotten you as well in the kitchen. Enzo! Oh, where's Enzo now? Sometimes you have to go find the tigers to feed them. It's... Let me go and call him. But the chickens look good. They are about this size. It's not so small. Enzo! Enzo! Come and eat! Come on! Come, let's go! In any case, the guy told me, listen, they're about 600 to 800 grams. So, are you ready? So they are already of size, reasonably sized. There's a few that's a little tiny, but I will be getting bigger ones in the next week or two. Dainty, please. And so we're taken care of. That's the main thing. But I am making permanent changes as far as I can. I'm never gonna go back to a different method again. I'm gonna keep on making changes, so I do not need to work. Well, you'll always need to work with money, but I'm going to cut off from it as far as I can. If I never need to buy cat food again, that's what I'm gonna do. If I never need to buy fuel again, that's what I'm gonna do. And I'm never gonna buy electricity again. I'm going to cut everything off completely, because I've learned that, well, I don't know if it's like that in the other parts of the world, but that is what is controlling us. And they don't care about what influences it has, but it cripples you. It makes you really, really dependent on money. And if money don't arrive, there's nothing that you can do. Your animals can't eat. You can't eat. You can't drive. You can't do nothing. So you'll always need a little, But I think this is going to start happening all over the world now, especially here in South Africa, because guys, a man can take so much, a man can take no more. That is what the saying says. And I'll tell you one thing, we've taken enough. We're tired of it. I think money is going to start having very, very little value pretty soon. I don't think people are going to want to have it. And it's simply because it keeps on getting less in circulation. Now, I've had this question today. What do I say about the things happening here in South Africa? Well guys, every generation's got a different thing happening to them. So it's not good for anyone. But the worst thing about South Africa is the fact that the young people are not being trained to do physical, skilled work. And there is no jobs for them. So they roam the streets. And that is going to become a very big problem. Whenever you ask somebody, what do? It's usually marketing, it's usually sales, it's everything except manufacturing. Nobody is manufacturing anything. And that is a very big problem. Now, I've told you guys before, my biggest problem in South Africa, I'm not being attacked. I have been attacked in my house. I opened the safe and I said, let me show you the money. And I got hit about 10 shots. Well, they used the R5 assault rifle, that's our police issue assault rifle, like a spear, stabbed me about 10 times and I was fine. I just felt this weird feeling on my body and I wondered what it was. I never knew that it was the actual stab wounds, and but they healed so quick and it didn't even hurt. So I'm a bit different in that system, but they were apologizing to me all of the time while they're doing this. And the thing is, yeah, if there's money somewhere and they're coming for it and they are being sent to come and pick it up, and they're going to torture you until you open the safe. So that's why I opened the safe immediately and I told them, there's the money, take it, it's yours. Thank you very much. I got a few, like I say, I got hit a few times until I gave the guy a death stare straight in his face, and he knew I was going to take his head off with one swing if I wanted to, and he stopped doing that immediately. That was a few years ago. Hasn't happened recently, and it is because they want money, they want things. There is no jobs in this country. The previous generation, when the country was handed over, they closed up all their shops. They closed up all, now if I say shops, I mean shops that you go to have something manufactured at, like an engineering shop, like things like that. It was closed up, and those people did not get more training. The people took the money, they put it in the banks, and they retired, and they collected the interest for 30 years. Now, what do you get when someone does that? Well, people are on the streets without work, without training, without the ability to manufacture something. And then they turn to crime. Crime is something that South Africa has benefited from. Now let me explain that. You see that wall? My wall is built for tigers. Every house in this country has a wall around it. Those walls were built to keep crime out. Guys, if you take all the houses in South Africa, remember this country is twice the size of France. This is a huge country. We could have built the biggest building from Johannesburg to Cape Town, like they are going to be building in Saudi Arabia. That is progress. But in South Africa, what did we do? We built a wall, and you think you are protected. Guys, they just lift that electric fence. Look at my old electric fence. Look at that. Look at those wires. It does not work. It gives you false idea of safety. It is not real safety. You think you're sleeping nicely. There's an electric fence. They lift that brick up with that pole. They slide over under it. They come in and they take you down. So, yeah. What do I think about South Africa? I think South Africa is a very big failed state. I think it was amazing. I think from when the country was handed over, the people who took their money, put it in a bank and collected the interest, that was the thing that killed this country. I remember we used to get bicycles at Christmas time. The make was rally cycles. I used to ride to work and see rally cycles on my left. And that's where our bicycles came from. And there was like 500 people maybe working there. They closed it down. And they started importing the bicycles. And that way, everything got replaced. So there was no more for anyone to do. And what does that make you do in the end? Well, you become a salesman. You start selling things that's on paper, like medical schemes, like insurance policies. That is the only things that is available to buy these days. I once imported some things out of China, and I was talking to a little lady called Kitty, and she sent me a few things just as gifts. And I wanted to go buy her a few things as gifts. But I wanted something that's made in South Africa. Guys, the only things I could get was ostrich eggs that's painted in a fancy style. That was the only things that was made in South Africa that I could send to her. And I did send it to her, and she was grateful for it. But I was very limited. That was the only things that I could send to her. So the problem here in South Africa is, let's say for instance, you guys know that I have the helicopters. I've had the helicopters now for 13 years. 13 years. Just standing there, doing absolutely nothing. Useless. And I cannot put them in service because it costs too much. And then they could have trained hundreds, thousands of pilots. But it didn't happen. And why didn't it happen? It's a profitable business. Nobody is willing to buy them and to just get the necessary things done and put them in service. It is not happening. It's not been happening for 13 years. Guys, it was supposed to be a year thing. I was supposed to buy it, sell it at a little bit of a profit, and there it goes to the right place, and people could learn how to fly with them. I went to find out how much they charge these days for an hour with the R44. And you know what, guys? 10,000 rand an hour at least. So, on my helicopters, with the hours that's left, just the one, there could be 17 million. So let's make it $1 million US can be generated profit on the one. No one is buying it. Not one person. And that's now a big problem because is my car locked? Now why did I lock my car? It is still charging. But in any case, do you see this big problem there is? There's no support. And who is not supporting? It's the banks. The banks are not supporting. And they are not going to. Because they have got a totally different way of making money. Interest rates are just going up. They put it up now. They did drop it by, I think, 0.25% the other day. But I was looking at some of my bulls. Dainty. Some of my bulls last night. And I saw how much interest I paid. And then in 3 months, they put it up so much, it almost doubled. That's now the interest. That's where as soon as someone needs more money, they think they want more. Hey, let's just put up the interest rate and get money. And the rest of the people who wants to work and earn a living suffers. So that's my biggest enemy in this country, is the people who put up the interest rate. I don't have a problem with someone walking in with a gun, pointing it at my head and taking the day's takings. I've got no problem with that. I should have made it better so that he couldn't come in. I feel that is a much easier suffer than when you get audited, for instance, like I used to get, and it takes 3 years, or you get dragged to court because of your tigers, and it takes 5 years, and the lawyers take you down, you pay, and you pay, and you pay. Guys, there's a lot of problems in this country. It's not what people think. I've lived here 50 years. I know. I've seen it. I know what my biggest problem is. I know what my father's biggest problem was. He worked his whole life and I just took his house from him, sold it for next to nothing, and then he had to still pay it. And he came to live with me, and still they were harassing him for that money. So that is the biggest problem South Africa faces. It's interest that can never be paid off, because every now and then they rip the carpet from under you and you lose your house and you have to start again in 3 years. We've lost our house, and that's where I bought this one. And I can count on both my hands how many times they've tried to take my house away from me. So if you want to talk about who's your enemy in your country, the people who's got their money in the banks collecting interest, that is my enemy. Unfortunately, I could sit by a table with the guy who had a gun against my head, and I could talk to him and I could negotiate with him. But with that person who collects that interest, you cannot negotiate with him at all. And he does not care. So A little bit of a twist on this video, but it's the truth. And I feel safe. I go anywhere I like, anytime I like in this country, and I feel absolutely safe. But I do not feel safe hanging on to something that I need to pay off, and I'm trying everything possible to do that. I managed to pay this BMW off, and it was not just a normal buy and pay off. It wasn't. There was much involved. It's paid off. I don't put fuel in. I do. I was told with the last, Leanne told me, and just put a little fuel in the BMW. And I said, okay, well, I put a little in, but I drive it on the solar. And I'm not going to stop doing these things. I'm going to stop using money as far as I can, because I know it's just a question of time. They will make it scarce again to try and give it value. But in any case, that's enough of that. That's my 10 cents on South Africa. My biggest problem here. And that's the only way I can explain it. Well guys, that's it. Thanks a lot. I hope you can understand what I mean. And yeah, hope you get some information from that. Like always, have a great day. Say goodbye, Diego.